A little while ago, I got a comment on one of my videos asking something along the lines of, how do you avoid lifestyle inflation? Like, as your income has increased over time, do you find yourself spending more money? And that question really made me think. Avoiding so-called lifestyle inflation is one of the most common tips you'll hear across the personal finance space. And straight up, it's a piece of advice that I've given in the past too. But I have increasingly started to believe that lifestyle inflation isn't really a thing. The general premise of lifestyle inflation is that you're used to living a certain type of lifestyle, and then you start making more money over time. And as you do, you start subconsciously spending more money, and the cost of your lifestyle inflates to a point where the increase in income hasn't actually helped you at all, and has maybe even hurt you, putting you in a position where you're now required to make even more money just to sustain your new spending habits. But if you're in debt, or you're living paycheck to paycheck, and you get a raise, and instead of using that money to pay off your debt or build up your emergency fund, you go get a nicer car, or you start spending it all on going out to eat or whatever else. Is that lifestyle inflation, or is that just irresponsible spending? Was that subconscious and completely outside of your control, or did you just make poor choices? Referring to your increased spending as lifestyle inflation, at least to me, just kind of sounds like a way to dodge accountability for your actions. Like, I didn't do it, it was the lifestyle inflation boogeyman. It makes it sound like something that happened to you rather than something you actively decided to do. And if you don't take accountability for the choices you make, you're going to keep making bad ones. But let's say you're not in debt. Let's say your bills are paid, you have a fully funded emergency fund, and you're more or less on track for all your long-term goals. And then you get a pay increase. Sure, you could just increase your savings rate a little, invest a bit more aggressively, maybe hit those long-term goals a little bit sooner if you want to. But is choosing to use some of that money to intentionally upgrade certain aspects of your life a bad thing? If living in a nicer place, driving a newer car, going out to eat more often, if any of that would genuinely make you happier, and you can afford it, is there actually anything wrong with that? All this boils down to asking a really big but simple question, which is, what is the purpose of money? Growing up on what I would call the lower end of lower middle class, I was raised to see money as a resource for survival. And it is. The first priority of every dollar you make is to provide you with food and water and shelter and safety. And the second priority is to provide you with a runway of those things into the future via saving, investing, planning. But then what? Money is ultimately a tool, and its entire purpose is to better your life, whatever that means to you. So while living within your means is always important, no matter how much or how little you make, once your basic needs are comfortably met, you then have the opportunity to use that tool in whatever way you like. And as long as you're being intentional with the decisions you make, upgrading or inflating your lifestyle within the range you can afford to is kind of the whole point, isn't it? So to answer that initial question of how do I avoid lifestyle inflation, I don't really. I just stay in tune with my values, which means that yes, as my income has gradually increased, my spending has too. And I'm glad it has. Here are some of the ways, big and small, that I've inflated my lifestyle with intention over the last few years. Number one is addressing the things that have always bothered me. I think we all have things that bother us or that we've always wished we could fix, but have been held back by the cost. For me, one of the biggest things has always been my teeth. I mentioned this at some point in an old video that I made a long time ago, but I had braces as a teenager, and honestly, the end result was never really perfect. But then, like most 16-year-olds, I didn't wear my retainer, and over the next 15 or 16 years, my teeth continued to shift, and eventually they somehow ended up looking way worse than they even did before I had braces. So I've always wanted to have them fixed, and while yes, technically I could have budgeted for it earlier, and honestly I do wish that I had, the $7,000 price tag of Invisalign stings a little bit less for me today than it would have a few years ago. So I got Invisalign, and I'm so happy with the results so far. And honestly, if this is lifestyle inflation, I am more than fine with it. If there's something that's been bothering you for a long time, and it doesn't have to just be about yourself personally, it can be anything really. But if it's something that you've thought a lot about, something that has taken up a lot of real estate in your noggin, spending the money to fix it once you can is a great way to inflate your lifestyle with intention. It's using the resources you have to make your life better. Here's another much smaller example. So more than 10 years ago, I took this Les Paul in mint condition to an open mic night, and against my better judgment, I let someone else play it for a few songs, and when they handed it back to me, the plastic parts, the pick guard and the pickup rings, were scratched to absolute hell. And like, I know these things happen. Look what I've done to this one, okay? I get it. But this is my guitar, and it was in perfect condition at the time, and this guy just like scratched it all up and gave it back to me like this, and I was really upset, and I hate to say that it's been living rent-free in my head ever since. The replacement parts are only about 50 bucks, but I was just indignant about having to spend $50 to replace something that someone else damaged, but yeah, I'm gonna do that now. All better. Number 2, investing in higher quality items. There's a saying that goes, buy once, cry once, meaning that you should spend the money to get something good the first time instead of just buying junk over and over. It's common sense, but really sometimes it's just not in the budget. So in the past, I would often cheap out and buy something inexpensive and then end up unhappy with it and wind up needing to rebuy it again and again. I went through this with big things like my couch and also with small things like phone cases and kitchen gadgets and clothes. Ultimately, it was all a waste. So now, particularly when it comes to items that I use every day, I make an effort to buy the highest quality things that I can afford at that moment. You might have seen a video that I made back in the fall where I gave my bedroom a much needed refresh, which included changing out the worn out furniture that I'd been using for years. My dresser in particular was pretty beat up after I had moved houses with it 3 separate times. And in the past, my instinct would have been to just like go to IKEA or something and pick out a cheap bedroom set. But I know from experience that cheap furniture just doesn't hold up very well over time and often doesn't look very nice either. Realistically, having to buy and rebuy cheap stuff doesn't even save you money in the long run. So instead, I took my time finding something that cost a bit more, but that's much higher quality, will last a lot longer, and that I honestly just like a lot better. And I'm so happy I did. Another big part of that makeover was replacing my tattered old mattress, which I had been sleeping on for 20 years, with a beautiful new one from Helix Sleep, who's also the sponsor of this video. This mattress has been a major life upgrade for me. I've always taken my sleep very, very seriously, but I can honestly say that the sleep I've been getting on this mattress for the last 7 or 8 months has been some of the best sleep of my entire life. In fact, I love it so much that I've been wanting to get one for my mom too. She's been complaining for a while now about not sleeping well and waking up a lot at night, and let's just say the sleep deprivation has been making her a little bit grumpy, to say the least. So let's go fix that right now. Mom, I got something for you. Helix Sleep makes premium quality mattresses that come rolled up in a box and shipped straight to your door. All you have to do is take the Helix Sleep quiz, which matches you to the perfect mattress based on your body type and your sleeping habits. For me, that was the Helix Midnight Luxe. For my mom, it's the Twilight Luxe. Every Helix mattress comes with a 100-night sleep trial to ensure that you absolutely love it. And if you've been needing a new mattress, now is actually the best time to get one because Helix is currently running their Memorial Day sale where you can get 27% off site-wide and get a free bedding bundle with any Luxe or Elite mattress order. Just head over to helixsleep.com/accordingtonicole or click the link below or scan this QR code right here, take the sleep quiz, and get your Helix mattress today. I am so comfortable. Thanks again to Helix Sleep for sponsoring this video and for making the best part of my day even better. Number 3, replacing and repairing things. Another way that I have intentionally inflated my lifestyle over the last while is by replacing and repairing things that need it. And I know that sounds weird, but bear with me. One of the less talked about side effects of growing up in an environment where money is scarce is that you have a hard time differentiating between good and good enough. Turns out they're very different. What this often means is living with things that are worn out or broken and trying to hold off repairing or replacing them for as long as possible. For a long time, I used towels and linens that were completely worn out, and I held on to pieces of clothing that really probably should have been tossed because I figured they were good enough. But over the last bit, I've been replacing it all, and oh my god, let me tell you, new towels feel so much nicer. You don't even realize how much your old ones suck until you get new ones. They're really small things, but they make a huge difference. I have these like dark gray washcloths that are all bleach stained from using benzoyl peroxide, and they're super old, and I wish I could tell you that there was a good reason that I've been keeping them, but there isn't, so time to let them go. At some point last year, a small hole developed in my screen door, and then Levi accidentally made it bigger, or at least he said it was an accident. I don't know if I believe him. Hey, did you break my screen, you little shit? No, couldn't have been you, right? You're perfect, you never do anything wrong. Wasn't you. But I tried to patch it with duct tape, which clearly didn't work out so well. So today, I'm getting the screen replaced. Talk about living large. Overall, if something dies or breaks, I generally just replace it now without much concern, as long as it's nothing too crazy expensive. For some people, this is a no-brainer, but anyone who's ever been on a low income understands what a luxury it really is. I've also started being a lot more proactive with things overall in hopes of preventing issues from developing down the line, like being more diligent with routine maintenance on my car and more frequent dentist appointments, which honestly, like nicer furniture, actually saves you money in the long run, but it can be expensive up front. Thankfully, my car is a Japanese tank and I've never had a cavity in my life, so far so good. One of the best ways that I've chosen to inflate my lifestyle over the last few years is just to say yes more. If I get an invite to do something, to go out to dinner, to go to a festival or a concert, or basically anything social, I try to always say yes and not impose super strict spending limits on myself in those moments. It used to be that if I went to a food festival, for example, if admission was like 25 bucks, I would only allow myself to spend around 25 more at the event so that my budget for the day was capped at $50. But this often meant I couldn't get much because, as we all know, prices at festivals are stupid. I still never want to be wasteful, but if I go somewhere and it's kind of a once in a blue moon type thing, I want to experience it to the fullest. If that means that on occasion I spend an extra $50 or $100 here and there, I'm okay with it. And as a spin-off to saying yes more, I also have been trying to be more generous with other people as often as I can. I like to be able to treat my friends to things like coffee or drinks without worrying about splitting the bill or whose turn it is to pay, especially if it's something small like under $20, it's really not a big deal. If I want to do something with someone and I know that it's outside of their budget, once in a while I'll just offer to treat them so that they can still join and not worry about it. I'm very big on equitable and reciprocal friendships overall, but it feels really good to be able to treat people to things once in a while. And then there's convenience. Once again, by nature, I never want to be wasteful, but being able to use a relatively small amount of money to buy back some of my time is another way that I've chosen to intentionally inflate my lifestyle. I used to go to like 2 or 3 different grocery stores to get the best deals on the things that I want. And doing this definitely saved me a bit of money each month, but it also wasted a lot of my time. If I'm being totally honest, this has always been more about the principle than the money. I just hate Galen Weston so much, and I resent giving him a penny more than I have to, but I'm busy, man. I don't want to spend all day grocery shopping. So I still shop predominantly at the less expensive stores, but now I just try to get everything all in one go, all in one place. And if a few items here and there are more expensive, I don't really worry about it that much. There are also some things that I'm perfectly capable of doing, but that I just absolutely hate, so I outsource them. Things like shoveling snow, painting walls, shoveling snow, detailing my car, shoveling snow. Yeah, I'm not shoveling snow. And where I used to try my best to do things like run the dishwasher or do laundry on off-peak hours when electricity is a bit cheaper, nowadays I'm kind of less concerned about it and I just do it when it's convenient. So yeah, I have no plans to buy a bigger house. My car is 12 years old. I still cook 95% of my food at home, and I'm still using an iPhone 11. But every year for the last number of years, I've made more money than the year before, and I've also spent more money than the year before. And technically, that's what people call lifestyle inflation. They're mostly small things, at least other than my teeth, but they definitely add up. And sometimes I think those small things are the ones that get you because you don't really notice them. But in my case, it's all been deliberate, it's all been within reason, and it's all been in ways that align with my goals rather than sabotaging them, and I think that's the key. If you make $30,000 a year and live a $30,000 a year lifestyle, but then you start making $50,000 or $80,000 or $100,000, you definitely shouldn't be spending all that extra money, but I think that it's normal and healthy to use some of it to make your life better and easier and more enjoyable. We all have different priorities and different goals, and as long as your actions support your goals, then no one can really tell you they're wrong. Reusing toilet paper and eating instant noodles every night so you can save like 90% of your income, that doesn't make you good with money, it makes you a cheap ass. If having a bigger house or a new car or hiring a cleaning lady or whatever else, if any of that's important to you, if going out to eat every day and having the newest phone makes you happy, and you can actually afford it, like you're not in debt, your bills are paid, all that good stuff, you have savings, investments, I say go for it. You know, choosing to spend your money in a way that makes your life better isn't lifestyle inflation, it's living. But at the same time, spending money recklessly and living beyond your means doesn't make your life better. And it still isn't lifestyle inflation, it's just irresponsibility. But in either case, it's something you choose, not something that happens to you. But hey, as always, this is just my opinion. I'd love to hear yours in the comment section down below. Let me know your thoughts. Do you think that lifestyle inflation is a real thing? Is it something that you've experienced? If you like this video, like the video, subscribe, follow me on Instagram. Other than that, thank you guys so much as always for watching. Take care, and I'll see you next time.